Hi everyone, my name is Angel, and for my final project I'm going to be making a meal. We're going to be baking salmon, frying asparagus, and just some plain white rice. So salmon for my protein, asparagus for my vegetable, and rice as my starch. I've also created a homemade marinade to use as my sauces and spices out of all these ingredients, which I'm going to go into detail in just a minute. So to start off with my protein, I am going to be baking salmon. It's going to be prepared, baked in a metal dish, which is a great conductor of heat. The method I'm using is baking, which obviously surrounds the food, and hot enclosure in the oven, which relies on a combination of radiation from the walls and hot air convection to heat it. There are many types of fish, such as the red meated fish, such as tuna, and white fish, such as tilapia. Salmon is unique because it's a split between red and white meat because of a special molecule it has in it and the crustaceans that they eat that turn their flesh orange. So before I prepared the salmon, I kept it in my freezer to make sure that no bacteria grows on it so it can last longer. Once I was ready to cook it, I thawed it out, and as I pre-made my marinade, I put it in a Ziploc bag and kept it in the fridge until I was completely ready to make my meal. So I made a homemade marinade to keep it in and give it more flavor, a little bit sweet and salty. I used low sodium soy sauce, mixed it with honey, olive oil, and black pepper. I think it's gonna give it more of a flavor. It's gonna keep it juicy because of the liquid fat that's going to give it a little more flavor, and overall just give it more characteristic and aroma to make it more flavorful. So for starch, I'm going to be boiling white long grain rice. I'm going to be cooking it in a metal pot and just boiling it in water on a stovetop, which is going to be heated by convection currents in the hot water. Boiling is very efficient because the entire surface of food is in contact with cooking medium, and the water is dense enough that its molecules are constantly colliding with the food and rapidly imparting their energy to it. So for my choice of vegetable, I am going to be frying asparagus. I'm going to use a little bit of butter, and I'm going to cover it and mix it with salt and garlic powder to give it a little more flavor. I'm going to be cooking it, as I said, in this metal skillet, which, as I've mentioned before, is a great conductor of heat. It is a form of conduction, and it is a direct heat transfer. The reason why metal, once again, is such a great conductor of heat is because their electrons form a free-moving gas in the solid that carry energy from one region to the another. Asparagus itself is a vegetable that's considered a stem, which have main function of conducting nutrients between the roots and leaves, providing support for above ground organs. When they're harvested early and fresh from the soil, asparagus is actually very juicy and noticeably sweet. After a while, it loses its flavor, it flattens out, it loses the juiciness it had, and it becomes increasingly fibrous from the base up. I will be, as I mentioned, adding these ingredients to heighten the flavor a little bit and add the characteristic aroma molecules to the asparagus. So a quick cooking update on my rice. As the rice cooks, it absorbs the water. The granules swell up and release starch molecules as it cooks. That's why the rice slowly gets bigger. So while my rice is boiling, here's an update on my asparagus. You can tell that the heat transfer is direct. It melted the butter and it's cooking up the asparagus right away by heating it up. I mixed my garlic powder and salt with it, so I'm just gonna keep tossing it so it all gets evenly cooked and prepared and ready to eat. So here's an update on my baked salmon as it's cooking away. When cooking fish, it's important to remember that it needs to be evenly surrounded with heat because of its uneven shape. In my case, I just cut it into a little bit smaller pieces than it was in before to kind of help even it out. Also, the temperature does not need to be as high as it typically is for other foods because fish dry out faster. What happens within the meat is the proteins separate and unravel when cooked, and they go through a denaturing process which gives it the ability to combine with other things and change the flavors. If the fish is overcooked, the proteins get squished and they squeeze out any water, which completely dries out the protein, which what makes the fish extra dry. So you want to make sure you definitely do not overcook it. So this is my finished product, which basically concludes my project. So baked salmon, boiled rice, and fried asparagus. It looks really good. I can't wait to try it. Thanks for watching. Bye.